What are other goalies who are in the Four Nations face-off saying about Jordan Binnington?
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I spoke to Flyers goalie and Team Sweden's backup goalie Sam Ersson and what he had to say about playing somebody like Jordan Binnington. Also, we have to talk about that Avs game. I know it was ugly, but at least in Utah, the Blues were able to come out with a win. And Dvorsky is repping in the AHL All-Star weekend. And it's been really exciting to see some of the content that's been posted of him. So we do have a lot to talk about today. Just to give you guys a heads up, Nick from Locked On Oilers and I will be doing a dual video tomorrow. That is right. We're going to be collabing. So make sure to stay tuned. We always have such a great time talking with Nick from Locked On Oilers. Today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. I had a conversation with Sam Ersson. He's on the Philadelphia Flyers, but he's also Team Sweden's backup goalie for the Four Nations face-off. And when I was talking with Ersson, I wanted to get his feel on potentially seeing on the other side of the rink Jordan Binnington, who is Team Canada's starting goalie. And obviously, Jordan Binnington has one heck of a career so far, right? His rookie season, he wins the Stanley Cup. And Sam Ersson was telling me that he, and by he being Jordan Binnington, is the type of goalie that he strives to face. He said that with Jordan Binnington, you know that he is always going to be competitive. And he went on and said, you know, that's what you want as a goalie, to have another competitive goalie on the other side of the rink. I think that for some of these players, right, you know, and especially I don't think so much in net, but you always hear about the guys talking about playing Ovechkin or, you know, Sidney Crosby or some of the bigger names. And I think that sometimes with goalies, we don't think about how they see the guy in the opposing net per se. So it was a really interesting take by Sam Ersson on Jordan Binnington, and I'm gonna try to play the audio. All right, so I'm gonna play the audio again. If it's a little bit rough, just please understand that I just had a hard time uploading it, but I feel like it's kind of nice. So here you go. In Canada, it's Jordan Binnington who's in it, and I cover so it's like having, you know, a bunch of players. So I mean, again, you're going against those kind of guys too. Yeah. On the other side of the ice. So and how do you against Binnington? I know like kind of far out, but is he somebody that maybe like you looked up to or
to Binnington?
Yeah. Or like you did.
I mean, he's obviously a very good goalie. He's won a Stanley Cup. I think there's only good goalies in that tournament.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, yeah. Like it's always it's kind of the game within the game. It's like when you play here, you always want to go against the tough guys. So obviously, it's cool to see all the top goalies that are there. Really. Yeah. So basically, sums up what I was saying about how he sees him as a good goalie and, you know, won a cup and all that. But I think that this tournament is going to be really interesting for us, because we're going to be able to see Jordan Binnington in a different kind of light. It's no secret. The Blues, they're not doing good this season. We know that. I mean, it is the reality. It's unfortunate because we wanted this team to be a potential playoff contending team. But obviously that's not going to happen, at least in my opinion, right? Maybe by some miracle it will happen, but I don't think it's going to be. But I want to talk to you about who is on Team Canada, because I feel like for Jordan Binnington, he's going to have, especially when it comes to defense, he's going to have a lot of talent in front of him, which maybe he doesn't have as much here in St. Louis besides Colton Parayko. So on defense, it's Cale Makar, Josh Morsey, Parayko, playing again with Pietrangelo, Sanheim from the Flyers, Shea Theodore, VGK, and Devin Taves. And then in net, it's Binner, Aiden Hill, VGK, and Sam Montague, Canadians, whatever. The point is, like, he's played already with Alex Pietrangelo. He was our captain, so. And I'm trying to think if there's any other players that Binner has played with. I mean, on the forwards, no. Oh, Mark Stone's in it, man. But again, one of those things where I do feel like he's going to maybe learn some stuff from having a solid defense in front of him. And I feel like Team Canada's roster and Team USA's roster is the two best ones that we have going into this tournament. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right, if they both made it to the finals. So Team USA, by the way, for the Four Nations face-off, just to give you some names so you're aware, like Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Chris Kreider. I know we've talked about him here on Locked On Blues. JT Miller, Austin Matthews, Brock Nelson, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk. We love our Tkachuks. St. Louis natives. Vincent Trocheck, Adam Fox, Noah Hannafin, Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, and then they have Connor Hellebuck in net, Jake Ottinger in net, and Swayman. Team USA is loaded. And then there's Team. See, like, the thing is, I don't think Team Sweden's going to win, unfortunately. But anyways, I shall read you some of the names in net. Not in net, just in general, and then obviously some in net. Jasper Bratt, Devils, Leo Carlson, Ducks, Philip Forsberg, Preds, Elias Lindholm, Bruins, William Nylander, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Elias Pettersson, Canucks. Then we have Rasmus Anderson, Flames. It's a lot of Rasmus. Lots of Rasmus. Rasmus Dahlin, Sabres. Eric Carlson, Penguins, and then in net, Philip Gustafson, Sam Ersson, and Linus Ullmark. And then I believe the other team that we have is Team Finland. So I'm going to read you some names off of that. And I'm only doing this because I feel like, again, Team USA and Team Canada, super strong. So I kind of feel like you're kind of getting the gist of why I feel that way, just based on some of the names that I'm reading. Again, some of these names, horrible, not their fault, just for me. Sebastian Aho, Canes, Alexander Barkov, the Florida Panthers, Patrick Lane, the Canadiens, lots of confusing names. Rasmus Ristolainen, Philadelphia Flyers, Miro Heiskanen, Dallas Stars, we know him. I don't like these names. They're so hard. Kevin Lankinen, Canucks. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I don't want to butcher all these names. Listen, a huge hockey fan here. Love hockey. Live, laugh, love hockey. But just some of these names are just really difficult, and they're not on the Blues, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, it was nice hearing Sam Ersson say that about Binnington, and who knows, maybe they both will face off in net. I mean, I suspect, just in general, for the backups to get minutes on the ice, because I don't feel like maybe it is going to be more competitive than I'm thinking, but I don't know why I expect this tournament not to be as competitive as maybe they're trying to make it seem. Because at the end of the day, some of these players, not our players, but some of these players are on cup contending teams. Again, not any of us. So for them, I would just want to be careful when it comes to health. Don't want any injury to happen. But it's like a weird situation, right? Because I just personally feel like with this Four Nations like face off, that it's gonna like be promoted as competitive, but I just don't think that it's worth anybody getting injured. That's just my 2 cents, but
who knows what will happen? Let me know what you think. Do you think it's going to be competitive, or do you think it's going to be just, I don't want to say like not competitive because that's not the right word, but just not as physical maybe as it's sounding like it's going to be. So let me know kind of down below your thoughts on that one. I do want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, and endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, come on, that's like icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. The Blues had two completely different games over the weekend. They had a game against the Avalanche, and it was ugly. And then they had a game where they actually won against the Utah Hockey Club last night, who, by the way, are getting a new name, which I kind of don't like. I think that they should just keep it. But let's talk about that ugly, did I say ugly? 5-0 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Joel Hofer was in net, and I felt horrible for him. You might be wondering, Hale, why do you feel bad? Why do you feel bad for Joel Hofer? Well, the Colorado Avalanche, first off, shot 36 goals on net over the Blues' 19. It was clear this was the better team, but it wasn't because the score was 5-0 overall. It's because in that first frame, that first frame of play, 4 goals went in for the Avalanche. And I have to tell you, it was 2 power play goals. You might be wondering, Hale, is the penalty kill in trouble? And it just might be. I don't think the PK is as good as we expected it to be. I know that the Blues have struggled with special teams as of late. You know what? Not even as of late. It's been like this all season long. But at the end of the day, what makes it even more frustrating, what makes it even worse, is that once the Blues, I find, kind of are down by a couple goals, they can't seem to come out of that. And I've noticed that like early on when they get lost, there's no fight back. So anyways, by the way, Cale Makar had and I know, oh my God, it's the Avalanche. We're not supposed to like them. But he did have a nice power play goal. I will give him that. And yeah, and then in the third period, the Avs scored 1 goal. So another thing that I found kind of interesting right now about the Central Division is a couple things. One, Colorado is still a top 4 team. I feel like they've been going back and forth between them and Minnesota, but the Blues are below them. And I feel like Utah is about to surpass. The thing with the Blues is we got 2 points last night. While that's great and dandy, it does hurt the team when it comes to a potential draft pick. But again, like I need to not worry about that maybe. That's my fault. But the Blues were able to come out of a 4-game losing streak. The last time the Blues won the game prior to last night against Utah was against those Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas. And I feel like that was quite a while ago. But yeah, the Blues, that was January 20th. Wow, that was a long time ago. I thought it was long. I'm like, are we ever going to see a Blues win again? Well, we did last night against the Utah Hockey Club. And the last time these two teams met, Utah won. And I think Utah is a much better team than people give them credit for. I think that they do have a lot of good players. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards Clayton Keller. Wish he was here, but he's not. But anyways, it was a 2-1 win. And when the Blues score first, sometimes good things happen. And Alexander Texier started off the scoring for the Blues at the end of the first frame and got the Blues up. It was 1-0. Second frame, it was a lot of back and forth. The Blues did great on the faceoff. I thought they played really well. And the Blues went into the final frame being up 1-0. However, a couple minutes in, Utah was able to score. And then finally, like 4 minutes later, Jordan Kyrou was like, nope, we're not doing this. We need a win. And was able to get the puck to the back of the net, assisted by, obviously, Robert Thomas with his 25th of the season and Bushi. So the Blues found themselves with a nice 2-1 victory. And it was funny because here's the thing. I think that the Blues do have potential, but it's ironic in a sense that Texier scored because the whole justification of putting Saad on waivers, in Doug Armstrong's words, were because he wanted to see more out of Texier. I mean, yeah, did I say Saad? Yeah, because he wanted to see more out of Texier. So it was kind of like poetic justice. Like now I'm like, okay, maybe this will, motivate Texier a little bit to play a little bit harder and better. But overall, I was really happy that the Blues won just because enduring a losing streak is not fun. The Blues have yet to go on a winning streak this season, which is so strange to me. There could be worse things, I guess, but it is weird, right, that the Blues haven't won 3 games in a row yet. And then tomorrow night, the Blues host those Edmonton Oilers. And I know what you're thinking. Are you going to still talk about the offer sheets? Well, obviously, because again, the last time these two teams met, it looked a little chippy on the ice. I'm not going to lie to you. And McDavid was like pushing and shoving a little bit too with Holloway. So I was like a little bit surprised about that one. But I do think that these two teams will have a good game tomorrow. Obviously, Edmonton's the better team. No doubt about that. I'm not even going to act like Edmonton isn't a good team. They're one of the best teams in the NHL. Respectfully, right? They did make it to the Cup Finals last year. So really good talent on that team. I do think, however, that the Blues, and by the Blues, I think Holloway and Philip Broberg are going to be a little bit extra motivated taking on their former team. It's still fresh, right? I know that it's February already and it happened over the summer, but I feel like for some of these players, it's still fresh. I mean, that's my mentality. I feel like next season it won't be a story, but I feel like until the season ends, it's going to always be a little bit of a story. But there's been so many trades, by the way, happening in the NHL. And I'm actually at a loss for words how many trades have gone down. You see, I thought for sure that the trades wouldn't really be coming in until a little bit later. I thought that it was going to take some time. And then even today, the Minnesota Wild got Sammy Walker from, not the Minnesota Wild, the Utah Hockey Club got Sammy Wild today. Like there was just been so many things, like Cody Ceci was acquired by the Stars. Like so many things happening. I personally, and JT Miller went to the Rangers, by the way, in case anybody thought there was a chance of having JT Miller. So a lot going on. I don't know if the Blues should buy. They shouldn't buy, but I don't know if they're going to, because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they just do things that they shouldn't be doing. But yeah, that's just a little bit about that. I mean, personally, everything in the NHL is super crazy. It's like a soap opera. You can't stop watching and you just never know what's going to happen. It's funny, when I was talking with Ross Cohen the other day, aka Sportsology, we sit next to each other in the press box. And I was telling him, I'm like, you know what? I know that the Keandre Miller thing that I'm saying about him coming to the Blues might sound crazy, but I do feel like it could happen.
I know that it might not happen. More than likely, it's not going to happen. But I feel like there is a chance. And I don't think I'm wrong for thinking that because he is such a huge asset and he would bring a lot to the table. But again, I don't know if the Blues would be able to afford him. That's why they need to sell. And at this point, selling is the best option. So that's just my 2 cents. The Blues should sell. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Blues here on YouTube at Locked On Blues, Twitter at Locked On Blues as well. This past week, I obviously interviewed Scott Perunovich and had a really candid conversation with him about being traded. And then, of course, I was able to speak to Team Sweden's goalie, Sam Ersson, about Jordan Binnington. So there's always a lot of exclusive content that you can listen to right here on Locked On Blues. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about to you is about Dvorsky. Dvorsky is one of my favorite players. And he is an all-star. And the Springfield Thunderbirds, by the way, shout out to their social team because they have been killing it. But Dvorsky is an all-star and he is fantastic. I mean, here's the thing. He's the only player, by the way, and you can watch tonight. But I mean, it is insane watching the skills contest and he was one of the standouts in the skills. I have to tell you, he was. I watched it and he caught my eye. I think it's a mistake to not call him up. I do. I really think it's a mistake. I think that you need to give him a chance and at least a shot. And I'm not saying he's going to change the season around because honestly, at this point, the season's done, playoff wise. But it will give him a feel for the NHL and then he would know what he needs to work on. I think that it's worth watching tonight, though, because I do think that people just assume that he's not ready because of his age and maybe you don't pay that much attention to the AHL. And I know huge difference between the AHL and NHL. I get it. I hear what you're saying. But I do recommend to just watch at least the clips on Twitter, the clips on YouTube of him. He has a beautiful shot. I mean, his slap shot is unbelievable. And even his skating has improved drastically. He's always been a good skater, but it's just gotten even better. So I know that there's always going to be that kind of like, I don't want to say bias against the AHL that obviously, it's not the NHL, right? It's a development league. But it's still very competitive. And I feel like that's another thing too. Over the course of the years, the AHL got significantly more competitive. I watch a lot of American League hockey. American Hockey League. You might be wondering why. Well, I don't know. I also watch like the OHL and the KHL. I watch a lot of hockey. I enjoy hockey. So hockey, Haley enjoys hockey, believe it or not. But I think that Dvorsky, too, could be a useful tool on the power play. So that's why I always say never say never. I feel like he is going to be called up at some point this season. And they would be silly not to. I think that it's going to be after the Four Nations face-off. Maybe sometime in March they're going to call him up. But I just don't see any harm for at least a couple games. I'm not saying the remainder of the season, but I think having him play 1 or 2 games up here, just let him get a feel for it and then see what happens. I mean, he might absolutely kill it and they might just keep him up here, or he knows what he needs to work on. But I don't suspect with how well he's been doing lately that he's going to struggle much coming up here. But I want your opinion and I want your thoughts on this. Do you think the Blues should call up Dvorsky, or do you think that he should just stay with the Thunderbirds for the remainder of the season and not play any games up here wearing the blue note? I want your thoughts for 2 reasons. One, I feel like this is a split discussion because then it's going to this whole narrative, oh, he's ready. I'm not saying that. I'm saying give him a chance. And then the other factor is this. I think, personally, he would look really good playing alongside. I mean, playing, oh my God, center. Playing in between, I would say. I know this might sound crazy. Jake Neighbors and Zach Bolduc. I want to see it. I know, crazy combination, but I want to see it. So let me live. Let your girl see what she wants to see. But that will do it for today's show here on Locked on Blues. Again, we had some great hockey discussion. And you can always stay up to date with Locked on Blues here on YouTube at Locked on Blues. Again, Twitter at Locked on Blues. My own Twitter account at Haley T. Simon. And again, my everydayers, I'm always going to try to give you the most exclusive Blues content, great Blues discussion. This is about you, the fan. And as I said, tomorrow, Nick and I, we're good friends. We talk about the WWE a lot, but we also talk hockey. And it just so happens that the two teams that we cover, the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues, will be playing each other. So it's going to be a really fun episode with my buddy Nick tomorrow. And until then, like always, let's go Blues.